I ask everyone present to please rise and repeat with me the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And to give our opening prayer today, the Reverend Peter G. Young of the Mother Teresa Community in Albany.
Thank you, Senator. Let us pray. When we meet in session, sometimes we stop listening and use our communication skills to advocate only for our own constituents and their agenda. God, you want us to communicate with respect and care for each other and each senator here in this chamber, so that we might show our New York State citizens and constituents our example of togetherness and the common good of New York State. Help us to have an open ears and all the hospitality of minds as we listen, share, and build community instead of disunity for our citizens. We ask you this in God's name, amen.
Reading of the Journal.
In Senate, Monday, February 8th, the Senate met pursuant to adjournment. The Journal of Sunday, February 7th, was read and approved. On motion, Senate adjourned.
Without objection, the Journal stands approved as read. Presentations of petitions, messages from the Assembly, messages from the Governor, reports of standing committees, reports of select committees, communications and reports from state officers, motions and resolutions. Senator Laval.
Mr. President, can we adopt the resolution calendar with the exception of resolutions 3732, 3781, and 3797?
All in favor of adopting the resolution calendar with the exception of resolutions 3782, 3781, and 3797 signify by saying aye. Opposed? The resolution calendar is adopted. Senator Laval.
Mr. President, can we have the non-controversial reading of the calendar?
Very well. The Secretary will read.
Calendar number 16 by Senator Laval, Senate Print 6385A, enacted on the real property tax law.
Read the last section.
Section 2 of the statute take effect on the same date, same manner as the chapter of the laws of 2015.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 44.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 21 by Senator Murphy, Senate Print 6390A, enacted on the social services law.
Read the last section.
Section 3 of the statute take effect on the same date and same manner as the chapter of the laws of 2015.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 44.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 64 by Senator Croce, Senate Print 6365A, enacted on the executive law.
Read the last section.
Section 2 of the statute take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 44.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 144 by Senator Ranzanoff for Senate Print 3969, enacted on the private housing finance law.
Read the last section.
Section 2 of the statute take effect on the 30th day.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young. Ayes 44.
The bill is passed. Senator Laval, that completes the reading of the non-controversial calendar.
Mr. President, can we return to motions and resolutions?
Secretary will ring the bell. Oh. Motions and resolutions. Senator.
Can we take up Resolution 3797 by Senator Stewart Cousins? Can we read it in its entirety? And Senator would like to open this resolution for co-sponsorship.
The Secretary will read.
Legislative Resolution number 3797 by Senator Stewart Cousins, memorializing Governor Andrew M. Cuomo to proclaim February 2016 as Black History Month in the state of New York. Whereas Black History Month, previously known as Negro History Week, was founded by Dr. Carter G. Woodson and was first celebrated on February 1, 1926. Since 1976, it has become a nationally recognized month-long celebration held each year during the month of February to acknowledge and pay tribute to African Americans neglected by both society and the history books. Thank you. And whereas the month of February observes the rich and diverse heritage of our great state and nation, and whereas Black History Month seeks to emphasize Black history is American history, and whereas Black History Month is a time to reflect on the struggles and victories of African Americans throughout our country's history, and to recognize their numerous valuable contributions to the protection of our democratic society in war and in peace. And whereas some African American pioneers, whose many accomplishments, all of which took place during the month of February, went unnoticed, as well as numerous symbolic events in February that deserve to be memorialized, include John Swett Rock, a noted Boston lawyer who became the first African American admitted to argue before the U.S. Supreme Court on February 1, 1865, and the first African American to be received on the floor of the U.S. House of Representatives. Jonathan Jasper Wright, the first African American to hold a major judicial position, who was elected to the South Carolina Supreme Court on February 1, 1870. President Abraham Lincoln submits the proposed 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution abolishing slavery to the states for ratification on February 1, 1865. Civil rights protester Jimmy Lee Jackson dies from wounds inflicted during a protest on February 26, 1965, leading to the historic Selma, Alabama civil rights demonstrations, including Bloody Sunday, in which 600 demonstrators, including Martin Luther King Jr., were attacked by police. Author J. Lucy became the first African-American student to attend the University of Alabama on February 3, 1956. She was expelled 3 days later for her own safety in response to threats from a mob. In 1992, author Lucy Foster graduated from the university with a master's degree in education. The same day, her daughter, Grazia Foster, graduated with a bachelor's degree in corporate finance. The Negro Baseball League was founded on February 3, 1920. Jack Johnson, the first African-American world heavyweight boxing champion, won his first title on February 3, 1903. And Reginald F. Lewis, born on December 7, 1942 in Baltimore, Maryland, received his law degree from Harvard Law School in 1968. And was a partner in Murphy, Thorpe, and Lewis, the first black law firm on Wall Street. And in 1989, he became president and CEO of TLC Beatrice International Food Company, the largest black-owned business in the United States. And whereas, in recognition to the vast contributions of African Americans, a joyful month-long celebration is held across New York State and across the United States with many commemorative events to honor and display the cultural heritage of African Americans. And whereas this legislative body commends the African American community for preserving for future generations its centuries-old traditions that benefit us all and add to the color and beauty of the tapestry which are American society. Now, therefore, be resolved that this legislative body pauses deliberations to memorialize Governor Andrew M. Cuomo to proclaim February 2016 as Black History Month in the state of New York, and be it further resolved that copies of this resolution suitably engrossed be transmitted to the Honorable Andrew M. Cuomo, Governor of the state of New York, and to the events commemorating Black History Month throughout New York State.
Senator Laval.
Mr. President, would you recognize Senator Stewart Cousins?
Senator Stewart Cousins.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I rise, as I do every year, to recognize Black History Month. And when I rise, I talk about a lot of different things, certainly many things that were in the resolution, my parents and their struggle for equality in our great nation, heroes and heroines in our communities who are often unsung. And today, when I thought about my Black History message, I thought about the significance of this day in my life. February 9th, 2005, I found out that I had lost my seat for my race for Senate by 18 votes. It was the longest unresolved race in New York State history. And of course, I'm here, so clearly the next time I was successful. I also thought about what happened during my time as senator when, on November 4th, 2008, what we thought could never happen, at least in the black community, happened. We elected President Barack Obama, the first African-American president in our nation's history. And I realized at that point, and now this will be the last Black History Month celebration that I will be speaking while there is a black president. So I guess the conversation for me today is about voting. It's about voting rights. It's about the franchise that is so important to America and its sense of democracy. It's about the history that goes back, obviously, before President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, where the enslaved Africans were freed. We realize that even that freedom, in quotes, didn't bring the right to vote. That happened later with the 15th Amendment, February 3rd, 1870, where African American men were allowed to vote. Of course, we know who the women were allowed to vote in 1920. Even that 15th Amendment and the later amendment that included women didn't allow for African Americans, especially in the South, to exercise their franchise. They were still subject to Jim Crow laws, literacy tests, all kinds of impossible tests that nobody else who was a citizen of this great nation were subjected to, thereby disallowing the American population, the full American population, who should have been allowed to vote. And it was the constant struggle and the constant push for a full democracy that allowed for finally, and we heard about Bloody Sunday, and we've talked about, obviously, the influences of Rosa Parks and Dr. King and all of those sung and unsung heroes and heroines made sure that by 1965, the Voting Rights Act was passed that moved obstacles from African Americans from exercising their right to vote. So here we are today on the eve of a new election with the reality that in many of our communities, less than 40% of the people actually vote. Many who have really benefited from the sacrifices of people who came before, because people understood that if you exercised your right to vote, you would have as much say as every other person who was a citizen of this country. As we stand on this eve of a new election, as we celebrate African American history, my message is the history of our rights to vote and the fruit that the exercise of those rights have yielded should not be taken for granted. So much part of our history is about our democracy. So much of Black history is about pushing the ideals of that democracy so that they become reality for everyone. So as we celebrate Black history, let's celebrate our heroes, celebrate our accomplishments, but don't forget that the basic and fundamental right to vote is at the core of it all. Thank you.
Senator Comrie.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise today to second our leader cousin's speech and noting Black History Month. Black History Month in America means a lot of things to a lot of people. It means a time of reflection. It means a time of reviewing history, renewing history, reminding people of the sacrifices that people have made for the progress in this country, reminding people of the people that had to fight to get the right to vote, to get the right for respect, to get the right to take buses, to get basic rights that any American citizen should have and still have today. As our leader Cousins has spoken on the fact that it all boils down to the right to vote in New York State, where we have one of the lowest voter turnout and participation, it reminds me that we still need to go out and reach out to all segments of our population so that they can understand what the power of the vote is and the need to vote. And as I'm reminded by Martin Luther King, we are not makers of history, we are made by history. We must make sure that we send out that message to all that we know and be living examples to make sure that people understand that history is made in the present, history is made by each one giving back, history is made by being a living example and a walking solution to people that have problems. History is made by us as elected officials by reaching out and touching people, by impacting people in a positive way, by trying to make sure that the Senate and all elected officials in New York State do their utmost to try to make a positive change in this state, by making sure that we reach out to our young people that are disconnected from history, that are disconnected from reality, so that we can show them that there's a better way. The object of history and understanding our past is to try to ensure that we have a better future and not fall down the same gateways and potholes that we fell into when we were not united in purpose, when we did not have a singular goal, when we could not find opportunities to bring each other together. What we've learned from history and the Black History Movement was that in struggle, there was unity. In struggle, there was an opportunity to come to a consensus. In struggle, there was an opportunity to find a peace and find an opportunity to make good. And I think that we need to remember that as Black History Month and try to emulate that. In my district, I put together opportunities this month for people of intergenerational, different generations to come together and speak about their experiences, both young and old, so that the young people could teach the old and the old people can remind the young of what they've been through. I'm honored in my district to have one of the original Tuskegee Airmen who is over 93 years old and has a stronger grip than almost anyone in this chamber, and is still a very active and agile person who was also, when he came out of the Tuskegee, became one of the first black car dealers, car salesperson and then dealer in Philadelphia, then came to New York. I'm honored in my district that I have many people that participated in the March on Washington and participated in many of the struggles in the early Black History Movement that have tutored and mentored many young people and have tried to tell their story. I just want to hope that we can all be storytellers by our example, not just during Black History Month, but every day in our lives, so that we can teach people to be better people in our future, so that our state and our country can be a better place. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Serrano.
Thank you, Mr. President. And before I begin, I want to first thank my leader and friend, Stewart Cousins, for bringing forth this resolution. She is the epitome of class and grace, and it's such a pleasure to know her, and in many ways exemplifies the importance of this month and the issues of diversity and the opportunities that she presents to all of us, not only in her district but throughout the state, I think are immeasurable. And this resolution is significant on so many different levels. It gives us the opportunity to take a moment to think about the struggles that have been going on for civil rights for so many years. And as a Puerto Rican myself, thinking about how the struggle in the African American community is not dissimilar from the struggles of any civil rights movement in any community here in our great land. So it has really fostered discussion about the importance of equality for women, for all people of color, for all who feel oppressed or marginalized in a society which was built on inclusiveness and should continue to be built on that. Anyone who believes somehow that the Black History Month is not necessary really should think about how much more we still have to do with the, with all that we have with social media now and with Twitter and with and other social media platforms. We're able to see in real time that there still continues to be really shameful displays of bigotry on a community level. And how do we combat that? We combat that through education. We combat that through understanding. And really by showing that this struggle that we all care so deeply about is not specific to any one group, but it's a struggle that all of us should feel completely wedded to because it is the American dream. And this country was built upon stepping back and pushing against oppression. So I think it's important that we continue to embrace that foundation of our society, and this resolution and Black History Month celebrations that we have all throughout our nation are testament to that need. Thank you.
Senator Sanders.
Thank you, Mr. President. To some, Black History Month may be a deification of ancient glories, a time when we get together and speak about victories of days gone by. I would suggest that they misunderstand what the month is about. The month is actually a time where we reflect on America, a time where we get a chance to say, to hold true that out of many we are one, a chance where we have to look at how far we have come. Yes, there have been many steps and stutters and pauses along the way, but the American people have been able to move forward. When we look at Black history, when we look at this month, it's not simply a month of Black people. Every part of the victories of the Black population here have been aided by good people of every type, of women, of whites, of Native Americans, of Asians, of Latinos, of every person when we speak of this particular month. Going further, my friends, I would suggest to you that this is not a time where we look to the past, but indeed a time that we look to the future. That Black History Month is what's happening now, how you live your life. The children of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X are best seen in the Black Lives Matter movement, where people are saying that, hey, the American Revolution is not finished. We are not finished. This is a thing of beauty that has to be forever replenished. I'm thinking of some of our ancient patriots when I speak of that. So we are looking at things that every day what you do is creating this type of history. That's why I'm glad that the people from the YAI are here, where they are participating. That was a plug, my friends. That they are participating in this type of history where they're building things. So I encourage all of us to renew our faith in America at this time. We need to renew it and make sure that the dreams of so many have died for, that we have a chance of making it a reality. In this month and the next month and the months to come, we need to say that all of this is American history. We're reflecting on the blacks, but at the same time, you cannot have American history without Black history. And with that being said, I shall say no more.
The question is on the resolution. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The resolution is adopted. Senator Laval.
Mr. President, can we take up previously adopted resolution 3280 by Senator Ritchie and read the title only? And Senator Ritchie would also like to open the resolution for co-sponsorship.
The resolution is open for co-sponsorship. If you do not wish to be a co-sponsor, please notify the desk. The Secretary will read.
Legislative Resolution Number 3280 by Senator Ritchie, memorializing Governor Andrew M. Cuomo to proclaim February 20 to 27, 2016 as Future Farmers of America Week in the state of New York.
Senator Ritchie.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today on both sides of the gallery we have FFA students from across New York State from 40 different chapters, including 4 from my district, which is Belleville, Henderson, South Jeff, Canton, and Carthage. We also have the officers for New York State, and they are Sarah Millspaw, State President from Albion, Emma Wieger, Vice President from Schoharie, Kayla Gully, Treasurer Greenwich, Tricia Jordan, Secretary Greenwich, Lindsay Palmer, State Sentinel, Hamilton, Aaron Langdale, State Reporter, Warwick. And I have to say, every year I look forward to FFA Day because I'm so impressed with the students that come, not just because of their agriculture experience and how much they know about it, but because of their abilities and the fact that these are our leaders of the future. I know that when I visit with many of them from across the state, one of the things that amazes me most is that I think many of us believed in the past that the FFA students came from farming families. That's not true today. The students that come are from many different families who have not had agriculture in their past and who are now interested in pursuing a career in the field. So it's really quite enlightening to see how much their teachers have taught them and how they've encouraged them to look at the opportunities to be part of the industry going forward. So I want to welcome all of you to the Chamber today. I want you to know that we're all very proud of you and we look forward to what you're going to do in the future, and thank you for coming. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Little.
Mr. President, I'd like to join my colleague, Senator Ritchie, and thank her for this resolution. And I, too, would like to express my thanks to the Future Farmers, FFA of America, for being here today and for all that they do, for all that their leaders do, for all that the students who adopt leadership positions and learn so much by being part of this great organization. I have students here today from Argyle, Greenwich, Hartford, Chateaugay, Salem, Cambridge, and Schuylerville Central Schools. And as Senator Ritchie mentioned, not all of them are from farm families. But the phenomenon of the last 15, 20 years, when people want to know where their food is coming from, has certainly involved more and more people getting involved in farmers markets and marketing of local produce and all. And these students have just joined that effort and have learned so much. The program has grown so that there are schools asking for ag programs, even though they don't have a large number of farms in their area. And the new distance learning programs are beginning to do that. So thank you to all the students that are here. Thank you for your teachers, advisors, and those who have helped you get to this position. And good luck in the future. Happy to have you here today. Thank you.
Senator Stavisky.
Mr. President, I guess you're wondering why a legislator from an urban, diverse county such as Queens County would get up first to thank Senator Ritchie for introducing this resolution, but also to speak on it. Believe it or not, I represent the largest chapter of the Future Farmers of America in the state and perhaps the country. We have a high school in my Senate district, John Bound High School, that has an agricultural program. And it's just a marvelous program. I met earlier with the students and the teacher from Vernon, Verona, Sherrill, Future Farmers of America. And they were just terrific. They are the best lobbyists you could have. But I didn't need convincing because I have been to John Bound many times. And I'm very proud of my constituents, of the young people, the assistant principal at John Bound, Steve Perry, who is a graduate of John Bowne, a graduate of Cornell, and came back to teach agriculture. They have a farm. They have they host the Vernon Verona Sherrill School District, has a very interesting maple syrup van. They come, they exchange programs, and to me, this is what education should be: hands-on, and it's something that brings us together as a state. To appreciate agriculture, you don't have to be from a rural district. So again, I thank you, and I encourage all of the people here from the Future Farmers of America to continue and let us all work together in our common mission. Thank you.
Senator Panapinto.
Extend my congratulations and thanks to the Future Farmers of America. I didn't know about the group until I got on Senator Ritchie's committee, and I'm the ranker on ag. And I've just been incredibly impressed by the leadership of the young people involved in FFA. And I got a chance to meet a number of them at the hotel last night where I stay at. They're having a dance downstairs. And, you know, I think it builds leaders across the board. And we have 99% of the farms in New York State are family farms. And we're giving these folks a pathway to take over their family farms and continue a $6 billion industry in our state through FFA. So it's a tremendous organization. We need to support it. And just to echo some of the things Senator Stavisky had to say, they brought around, maple production packets yesterday to my office. And I am a tremendous supporter of Maple Weekend, which is 2 weekends this year in New York State. The weekend of March 16th and 17th and April 2nd and 3rd, and I'll be going to both weekends in my district. So thank you again, FFA.
Senator Akshar.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to thank my colleague, Senator Ritchie, for this resolution. And I had an opportunity, Mr. President, to meet with about 25 students this morning from FFA. And I found them to be remarkably intelligent, inspirational, forward-thinking, and it's just a wonderful group. So I want to thank my colleague, Senator Ritchie, for this resolution, and I want to welcome each of the students to the chamber. It was a remarkable event this morning, and I thank you for everything that you're doing. I would encourage all of my colleagues in this House moving forward to ensure that we support ag in the classroom and FFA-type events. Thank you.
The Senate would like to extend a warm welcome to all of the students here with FFA. You have a continued. Senator Comrie.
I want to echo the sentiments of my colleagues and thank Senator Ritchie. I serve on the Agricultural Committee as well. I heard some very inspiring speeches from the FFA students this morning, and I also heard that we have a shortage of agricultural teachers that are available and willing to teach these students, and to make sure that we can continue having economy upstate, having young people that are engaged in staying in New York State. I was truly moved by what I heard, and I want to compliment Senator Ritchie for continuing to push the idea, to push to make sure that the opportunities for young people upstate to stay in farming are highlighted. I want to thank her for doing everything she can to make sure that all of us are aware of those issues, and hopefully we can help improve the ability of people that want to be teachers, agricultural teachers, in this budget, and so that we can have more people that are willing to stay in New York State and do work, and especially farming. Thank you, Senator Ritchie. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Laval.
Mr. President, can we take up Resolution 3732 by Senator Funke? Would you read the title only? And Senator Funke would like to open the resolution for co-sponsorship. And then would recognize Senator Funke.
Secretary will read.
Legislative Resolution Number 3732 by Senator Funke, commemorating the 100th anniversary of Wegmans Food Market, Inc.
Senator Funke.
Thank you, Mr. President. When Leader Flanagan opened our session a couple of weeks ago, he kind of went through everybody's district and talked about something unique in their districts. And when he got to the 55th State Senate District, I was kind of excited because he mentioned a jewel not only in our community, but in all of New York State, and that's Wegmans Food Markets. With all due respect to my Central and Western New York colleagues, Wegmans is distinctly a Rochester claim to fame. When you think of Rochester, you think of Wegmans. You might also think of Kodak, Xerox, and Bausch & Lomb, but today we're talking about Wegmans. Now, for those of you who don't have a Wegmans in your area, let me start by saying I'm sorry. You don't know what you're missing. Also, I understand that praising a grocery store might seem a little over the top to some of you here, crazy even, but let me tell you a couple of ways Wegmans is so important in our community. First, consider the fact that the flagship Pittsford Wegmans in the heart of my district isn't just a grocery store, it's a tourist attraction. For those of us from Rochester, it's not uncommon to bring our out-of-town guests first to this beautiful state-of-the-art 140,000 square foot Pittsford Wegmans with its burger bar, coffee shop, sushi buffet, giant bulk candy section, and on and on. It is that good. Now, we have a lot of great tourist attractions in the Rochester area, including our strong National Museum of Play, which happens to have a mini Wegmans inside. Second, understand that Wegmans doesn't just occupy space in our regional economy, it drives it every single day. As our region's third largest employer, Wegmans employs nearly 14,000 of our friends and neighbors, and by all accounts, the company is a great place to work, consistently ranked among the very best places to work in America. In fact, it's possible that the ones who love Wegmans more than its employees or its customers because they have made it America's top company for consumer satisfaction and brand loyalty. But most of all, Wegmans says it best when they say they are more than just a chain of stores. They are giving back to our neighbors and our neighborhoods each and every day in my district, and they have done that for generations, whether it's donations to the food bank, whether it's providing jobs and scholarships for young people who work there, the Wegmans School of Nursing and Pharmacy at St. John Fisher College, or Danny Wegman's service as our co-chair of our Regional Economic Development Council. The Wegman family name is synonymous with community giving in our area. Bob handed that down to Danny, who handed that down to his daughters, Colleen and Nicole. So today, as we celebrate 100 years of Wegmans, I offer my most heartfelt thanks and congratulations to everybody on the Wegmans team for their incredible success and their service to our community. Here's to 100 more years of Wegmans, putting Rochester on the map and making all of us very proud. Thank you, Mr. President.
Seeing no one else wishing to address the chamber, the question is on the resolution. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The resolution is adopted. Senator Laval?
Can we recognize Senator Comrie for a gallery introduction?
Senator Comrie.
Thank you, Senator Laval. Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to let the senators know that I have a group of students from my district that are here from Pathways High School in St. Albans. They're here visiting. They're up in the chamber today. There are a bunch of young people that Pathways High School is a college prep school that's in my district that has an excellent program and young people that are working hard to be the future leaders of our community. I just wanted to welcome them and thank you for coming up and spending the day in Albany, and I hope that you get to stop by every office that you want to see, and I hope that this will also encourage you to stay part of the political process. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Laval.
Mr. President, before we take up the last resolution by Senator Kennedy, I'd like to once again open up for co-sponsorship the resolutions by Senator Ritchie and by Senator Funke.
The resolutions are open for co-sponsorship. If you do not wish to be a co-sponsor, please notify the desk. Senator Laval.
Can we now take up the resolution 3781 by Senator Kennedy? Read the title only.
Secretary will read.
Legislative Resolution Number 3781 by Senator Kennedy, commemorating the 90th anniversary of the Buffalo Criterion.
Senator
Thank you,
Kennedy.
Mr. President. Today I rise to honor a well-respected and venerable institution in my district, the Criterion newspaper, on the occasion of their 90th anniversary. It's fitting that this resolution is being considered today in February as we celebrate Black History Month because the Criterion is the oldest continuously published African American newspaper in Western New York. The paper was founded in 1925 by Frank E. and Carmelita Merriweather with the goal of providing a voice to the Western New York African American community. This voice was badly needed, as most other newspapers published very few, if any, stories relevant to the African American community. But the Criterion was different. The paper sought to inform the black community on issues of health, education, employment, housing, religion, and civil rights at a time when this information was not commonly reported on. Finding difficulty in securing printing assistance, the Criterion was the first central city publisher in Western New York to own a complete newspaper plant with linotypes, printing presses, photo engraving equipment, and news cameras. Frank and Carmelita weren't deterred by a challenge. They found a way to bring the voice of the community to life. The Criterion encouraged participation in the political process, regardless of party affiliation, and by urging readers to run for committee. Their belief was that society and the community was bettered through participation. Early on, the Criterion went through great expense to start picturizing minority activities in Buffalo and Western New York at a time when few other papers sought to do so. These pictures remain a valuable record in the history of Western New York, the city of Buffalo, the state, and the nation. In 1959, Frank E. Merriweather Jr. succeeded his father as publisher, continuing the goals of the paper up until his death in 1995. Leadership of the Criterion is continued today by Frank Merriweather Jr.'s wife, Evelyn, and it remains a family affair. Frank and Evelyn's daughters, Frances and Patty, serve as editor and associate editor, and Frank E. Merriweather III is photojournalist and public affairs director, not to mention friend of everyone in the community. And Mr. President, Buffalo has shown an appreciation to the Merriweathers for their contributions through the Criterion. A branch of the Buffalo and Erie County Public Library has been renamed for Frank E. Merriweather Jr., and a portion of William Street in the heart of the city of Buffalo has been renamed Frank E. Merriweather Sr. Boulevard. Appreciating everything that the family and the Criterion have done and contributed to our community, we bring this resolution forward here today, celebrating the 90th anniversary, soon to be the 91st anniversary next month of the Criterion. And I ask that this body recognize the immense contribution to the Buffalo community, to New York State, and to the historic record that the Criterion and the Merriweather family has played. Here's to another 90 years. Mr. President, I vote aye, and I would ask that this resolution be opened up for co-sponsorship. Thank you.
The question is on the resolution. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The resolution is adopted. Senator Laval.
President, would you open the resolution for co-sponsorship by Senator Kennedy?
The resolution will be open for co-sponsorship. If you do not wish to be a co-sponsor, please notify the desk. Senator Laval.
Can we go back to motions and resolutions?
So ordered. Motions and resolutions.
On Senator Griffo's behalf, on page number 9, I offer the following amendments to calendar number 6, Senate print number 2722C, and ask that said bill retain its place on the third reading calendar.
So ordered.
Is there any further business at the desk?
There is no further business before the desk.
Mr. President, then I move that we adjourn until Wednesday, February 24th at 3 p.m., intervening days being legislative days.
On motion, the Senate stands adjourned until Wednesday, February 24th at 3 p.m., intervening days being legislative days.